Okay, then I think we can start. Good morning, everyone. We welcome to this online webinar where we are launching the FOLOU Twinning Region program. We are very excited to have you with us today and committing to this 2 hours meeting. We have a lot of information to share. And we look forward to have interaction with you. So just to give you an idea of what we will be discussing today, we have, as said, 2 hours meeting where we divided the time in 3 main parts. The first part is an introduction to who we are with the FOLOU project and what is the Twinning Region program of the FOLOU project about. We have an interactive session through the use of breakout rooms starting at 11, where we will discuss in more detail what the program, what are the modules of the program, and how they work and interact with each other. And then we have last 20 minutes where we will show you the details of the program implementation, the timeline, and open up for further question and answers. So who you will see today interacting with you. Myself, I'm Agnese Boccalon. I'm from ACR Plus, the Association of Cities and Regions for Sustainable Resources Management. And I'm here with my colleague Berai. You will hear from the project coordinator, Joan Colon, and from Anna Sagrera. So please, the ones of you that didn't mute the microphone, please mute the microphones. Thanks. And then our colleagues from Espigolador, University of Ghent, and University of Reading will also be presenting to you the modules of the program. But it's not only what you see today is not the outcome of only us, but behind the project we actually have a lot of more people and colleagues working on the activities. We are 16 partners from 10 EU countries, and we are all working in a collaborative way to deliver on this project. Yeah. So we will, before presenting you the content of this workshop, we want to have a bit of a warm up to understand a bit more about where you are coming from and what are the interests that bring you here today. And then I will call up for my colleague Berai to launch the first poll. So I will read it up. I think all of you should see it on the screen, but we would like to ask you what brought you to join us today. And you have 3 options. You have the option that I'm already working on project or activities that relate to food losses. I'm planning to work on such activities, or I simply want to find out more about food losses. You have, let's say, 30 seconds to give the answers, and then we can comment a bit on the results. So answers are coming in, and I guess, yeah, we can wait for a bit more responses. But so far, many of you are already working on project activities related to food losses. Please don't be shy to answer the poll. It's good for us to know the background of the audience and the possible experience that you can have in this field. Okay. Can everybody? Okay. Somebody says that they are experiencing some errors while giving the answers. I'm sorry. I don't know what's wrong with that. Shall we try to relaunch it, or because we have indeed 17 responses only?
It could depend on the user.
Yeah.
But we can try to relaunch it.
Well, just try, and otherwise I can comment on the results, or we can. Anybody is free to write in the chat. So, okay, thanks. Lorenzo is answering, and other participants as well. Okay, so it looks like from the majority of responses, many of the participants to the session are already working on prevention or reduction or general management of food losses in primary production. I don't know if you can see the results, but it's about 80% of the answers. And about 6% of the participants, they want to find out more about food losses. Okay, also in the chat we got confirmation about this. That's very good. So let's say we are all active in the field. And then I think we have a second poll that Berai will launch. We also wanted to understand a bit, because we have participants coming from many different countries in Europe and outside of Europe. We also wanted to understand what is your knowledge or perception about the status of food losses and waste figures, the availability of data on food loss and waste figures in primary production. So you have the three options. There are official and reliable data. There are official data, but they are not reliable, and there are official data. So some 30 seconds or so to reply to this as well. I guess from the responses, the problem persists on the possibility to give the answers. Unfortunately, we are sorry for that. But I can share with you the results of the poll based on the answers that have been provided. And for 50% of the answers, the respondents say there are official but unreliable data on food losses and waste. And for about 40%, the reverse. The data are available and reliable, and for about 12%, there are no official data in my country. Okay, so here also we are talking both about the perception that we have and the actual situation for those of you that work in the sector. And this is really good for us, because it's a good starting point to present you why we are working on the FOLOU activities and why we have developed a twinning region program within the activities of the project. I will pass the word to my colleague Joan Colon, who is the FOLOU project coordinator from UVic. He will introduce you to what we are doing within the FOLOU project, and after that we will present the details of the FOLOU Twinning Region program.
Thank you very much, Agnes, for the presentation. I think you will move the slides, right?
Yeah.
So let's start. Thank you. And next. Okay, so maybe some of you already know the project. Maybe some of you it's the first time that you hear about us. But just to contextualize a little bit, FOLOU is an Horizon Europe project that started 2 years ago. And it started because there is several key challenges on the food loss sector. So if you think about that, during the last couple of years, quite a lot of work has been done in terms of food waste, both in quantification, reporting, and planning strategies to mitigate food waste. But when you look at the food loss, there is still quite a lot of challenges. For example, food loss was excluded from the EU Commission decisions that was talking about food waste. And why is that? Because to measure and estimate food losses at the primary sector is very complex. There is still quite a lot of gaps even on the proper definition of what is a food loss. Then there is a lack of a common methodology to assess to measure the food losses. There is a lack of understanding of the drivers, and a lack of skills to implement and adopt solutions to tackle this issue. So this is why FOLOU exists. Next, please. Okay. When we think about FOLOU, and as I was saying, we are in a state of knowledge in a very early stage of this topic. So when we think about the project, we are not tackling, let's say, technologies to reduce food loss or food loss or valorize food loss. So we are in the very early stage. So the main objective of FOLOU is to set up all the necessary mechanisms to measure and estimate, to monitor and report, and to assess the magnitude and impact of food losses at regional and European level for different commodities. Then, of course, the main goal of FOLOU is to try to produce relevant and useful outputs that can be adopted by other stakeholders. And as you will see, the twinning program is the main tool that we have to achieve that. And all the project is planned to have these relevant outputs for the other stakeholders. So the main FOLOU objectives are divided in 8 objectives. The first one is to provide a robust, harmonized, and standardized measurement and estimation methodology for quantifying food losses. The second one is to develop and validate innovative tools to measure and estimate food losses at the primary production stage. You will see that later on. So right now, the measurement and estimation of food losses is mainly by direct weighting or by surveys. So what we want to do in that case is to develop new innovative technologies with satellite images, UAV drones, and stuff like that. The objective 3 is to measure and estimate the magnitude of food losses at member state level and EU level, and to assess environmental and economic and social impacts. To better understand the direct drivers and indirect drivers of food losses, to facilitate knowledge transfer and increase capacity building to 3 types of stakeholders, which are the ones that are present today. So primary producers, policymakers, and researchers. And to produce relevant information to design effective policy strategies to prevent and reduce food losses. Next, please. So the FOLOU methodology is based on 4 levels of change, which are understanding, measuring, training, and adopting. And through that approach, we want to promote a shift to the sustainable agricultural transition. Now we will go a little bit more in detail on what we are including in each level of change. Next. In the first level of change, understanding, what we want mainly is 2 things: to understand the direct and indirect drivers of food losses. Without understanding why food loss is happening, there is no way we can produce useful strategies to mitigate and reduce that food losses. So it's key to understand why these food losses are happening, and then to understand and to know the impacts of these food losses, both per commodity and region. Let's move to the next one. The second level of change is measuring, which is, of course, very important. Without knowing real data, again, it's impossible to plan and to set up any strategy. So in that case, we are dividing this level of change in 2 main topics. The first one is to produce an harmonized measurement and estimation methodology that will work together with a registry to report that losses. And the second one is the development of these innovative tools, which should allow us to measure in a, let's say, more straightforward way food losses, so can be widely adopted at regional level. Right now it's quite time consuming, so the idea is that in the future, through these kind of innovative tools, the measurement is much easier and fast. And finally, also in this measuring level, that is not always possible to quantify everything, so that it will be a work of estimating the data gaps for the countries that we are not assessing, for example. So now let's move to the level 3, the training. Okay, so these the first 2 levels of change are the technical ones. And as we said, what we really want is to let people know what we are doing. Hopefully we are doing a good job, and we want what we want is to communicate that job and to share it with everyone else. So this level 3 training aims to set up a learning center that will follow the 80 food competency framework, and in which we will have 5 different training courses aimed at the different stakeholders we are targeting, which are, as we said before, the farmers, the researchers, and public administrations. Each stakeholder has its own courses targeting specifically their needs. This is not yet available, but will be available hopefully next year, at the beginning of next year, at least one of the courses. And finally, the level 4, the adopting, is where we are today, trying to promote the adoption of the FOLOU outputs. And as said, the twinning program is, I think, the main tool that we will have to achieve that adopting level. So we really encourage you to join that program. And of course, we are very open to receive feedback and to adapt to whatever the stakeholders needed. And that's a little bit everything. Just I think there is another slide for me. Of course, so every objective that I explained in the beginning is translated to different outputs, and these outputs I've been telling the outputs during this level of change. So I think it's not worth to go through the outputs list. You will see the main outputs that we want to communicate or we want to share with you in the twinning program explanation. So I think I will leave it here. Again, just thank you very much for attending to this twinning program, and hopefully you find it useful. So Agnes, I will give the floor back to you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Joan, for the introduction to the activities of the project, and I will follow up with the presentation of the program itself. I will give you a bit of an introduction on why we are developing, who it is for, and what are its main components, and then my colleagues from the specific modules will take over and explain you the details of the modules. What it is, the FOLOU Twinning Region program is a collaborative initiative between the FOLOU project partners and organization outside of the project consortium, where we aim to validate and apply the methodology that we are developing for the quantification of full losses in primary production, and also for the accounting of these losses in a national registry. And at the same time, we want to extend the testing of the IT-based monitoring technologies that we are developing in other areas outside of the pilot areas of the project. The program aims to provide technical support to quantify these food losses, while at the same time seeks to enhance collaboration among actors in Europe and provide opportunities for peer learnings and knowledge sharing. The program official launch starts today with the registration process, but the activities will start in February next year, and then will end in October 2026, when we will close up the activities of the program. Our aim is to engage at least 5 regions across the European Union. We have the flexibility to include more regions in the program, so we are in the range of 5 to 10 regions as engaged partners. And these regions can be a different level of authority, either NUTS 1 or NUTS 2 level, according to the territorial definition in use within the EU. What are the principles of this program? So first, we want to enhance mutual cooperation among actors, and we will see what kind of actors we are talking about. We would like to have a multi-actor regional collaborative effort, stimulate collaboration between different actors within the territorial unit where we will work on, and we want to enhance and promote peer learning, knowledge transfer, and knowledge sharing among the participants. So about the mutual cooperation, it's in 2 directions. On one hand, we have the partners from the project that are willing to share the tools, the knowledge, and the expertise with the selected twinning regions. On the other hand, we are very willing and open to receive feedback on these tools for further improvement. On the multi-actor regional collaborative effort, our aim is to focus on 3 categories of stakeholders: the regional public authorities, the knowledge and research centers, and the actors on the ground, farmers, fishermen, and associations that represent them. And we will see in more detail later on who these actors are. And in terms of peer learning, it's not only an exchange between the partners from the FOLOU consortium and the regions, but it is also an exchange of knowledge and experience between the regions participated in the program. This is the structure of the program. Most probably many of you have already assessed the digital brochure we developed to advertise the program, which is available on our project website. The program is composed of 6 modules. We have the first set of core modules, which are the ones you see on the top, Module 1, Module 3, and Module 4. And then we have a second set of modules, which are complementary modules to the activities performed above, with Module 2, 5, and 6. So we will present in more detail these modules in the coming slides. Something we want to bring to your attention is that we are in our work targeting the key food categories that we are producing in Europe, which are vegetables and fruits, grains and pulses, roots, tubers, and oil crops. We are developing specific activities for aquaculture and fisheries. And we also look at the dynamics in the meat and dairy sector. Under each of these categories, you see the countries where we currently have pilot activities going on. So we cover different geographical areas within Europe for the different crop categories. At the same time, our aim is also not only to have a global overview of the dynamics of food losses in primary production, but we also want to see whether or not we can distinguish different dynamics and different processes and different outcomes that come from the analysis by differentiating between three types of production systems. So we have the conventional agriculture, the organic agriculture, and the agroecology. So this table here that you see is just a very simple attempt to distinguish what are the features between the different production systems, but the distinction goes well beyond these aspects. Okay, about the actors that I mentioned before. So we have three main categories of target groups that we want to engage in our activities. First of all, we have the regional public authorities, because this is a program where the regional public authorities have a key role in being willing to test and to deploy these measures that we are developing within the project, and also to engage the other actors in the region. And when we talk about regional public authorities, we are talking about organizations or institutions like the Department of Agriculture of single regions, Department of Waste, Chamber of Agriculture that can be connected to the regional public authorities' work in the field of the agricultural sector, and any other actor that has a public profile and works on food losses, quantification, management, and reduction. Second very important actor that we aim to engage are the actors that actually work on the ground, that produce the food and that make it available to the market. So we are talking about the farmers, the fishers, and any association that represent them. So that could be producers associations, cooperative, agri-food clusters, farmers cooperatives, fishers cooperatives, and so on. We also included in this type of actors the advisory service and the extension services that interact on a daily or regular basis with the with farmers and with other type of producers, and potentially the Chamber of Agriculture when these chambers are not let's say formally connected in with the regional public authorities, because it depends on some countries. Chambers of agriculture are more part of public administration, and in other countries are less have more an independent role. Finally, we want to put in this interaction among multiple actors, the research centers and the universities, because we are, as FOLOU, carrying out activities on research. And in this case, we talk about universities or research institutes in the regions, agricultural schools, innovation support agents, or living labs that work in the agri-food sector. So just before moving to the content of each module, we just wanted to share with you why we are developing this Twinning Region program. My colleague Joan has mentioned something before, but here I will take the angle from a different perspective. The figure you see here is the distribution of the contribution of different food groups to the total food waste figures in European countries. And here we are talking about food waste. And I will get back to this later on, because in the current terminology at EU level, when we are talking about food losses in primary production, we are still referring as food waste in primary production. So what you should, let's say, take home as a message from this figure is that we are a diverse, I'm talking about Europe, a diverse economy where there are different trends in how much waste we produce according to the food category, but also how much percentage value of waste we produce per each country. This is a graph that actually is taken from a recent publication by the Joint Research Center of the European Commission, published last year, and which looks at the balancing, which looks at an accounting tool to estimate food waste across all production stages. Well, based on the results and focusing only on the dynamics within the primary production sector, the overview that we get from the study for the data that were available for 2020 is that we have a quite distributed pattern of food losses per food category across food categories in the EU, with vegetables, dairy products, and fruits and nuts being the most wasted food categories currently wasted in the EU. But we have to take into account that, for example, this study, which has been a very elaborated study carried out, as said, by the JRC, is based on modeling. The modeling here, you can see some of the processes that have been used to model, to estimate the production losses. But that's what does it mean? It means that one of the first challenge that we are still facing in Europe is that measuring is still an issue. Having, as you provided as an answer in the first polls, having reliable data on food losses is still a challenge in most countries. Here I'm just showing you the metadata that are behind the last food waste reporting exercise that was done by the European Union countries and reported by Eurostat. And it was interesting, while we were developing the content of these slides, we looked at the figures available, and we came up with these, well, we reported, we found in the metadata this input that was collected by Eurostat. And then while we were revising the PowerPoint presentation, actually we found out that the data have been updated. And this, the last column of the table is the result of the very recent update that has been done. And the message that we want to convey here is that there is still high variability in the data that are being provided. Either data are not available. In many cases, they are estimated, and in the let's say first analysis of the data, the estimation reached up to 22%, so a fifth of the overall EU population. Data were estimated. There was no reliable data available. And then you have differences in terms of definition and terms of computation. So there is still a lot of work to be done, and that's why we are working on the activities within the FOLOU project. The other challenge that we are trying to tackle or to address relates to this measuring challenge, but is in terms of the definition. As it will be explained later, we do not have yet a formal definition of full losses at EU level. And one of the activities of our project is to well, we have, let's say, already completed this task, but we came up with a definition of full losses that is in line with the European Union definition of food waste, but that doesn't exclude parts that were left outside of the computation before, for example, pre-harvest and harvest phases. And this is why our methodology for the quantification is based on, starts from a clear definition of what we are measuring and where we are measuring. Last challenge that we want to address with this Twinning Region program is the trends in digital transition and innovation in the agricultural sector. So we have several examples where at the European level, the different directorates or the different institutions are pushing for this transition and the digitalization of the European agricultural sector. We have activities ongoing within the Common Agricultural Policy Network, and we have investment programs, medium-term investment programs, specifically dedicated to this digital transition and the focus on innovation. So this is another contribution we want to bring in with this program to facilitate, let's say, the participating regions in keeping up to the developments at EU level. So now this was just an overall introduction to the modules, to the program, and I will now pass the word to my colleagues that are responsible for the different modules, which will, who will show you what are the activities we propose within each module. So I pass the word to my colleague Hector Barco from Espigoladors, who will present you the activities within Module 4, the full losses quantification protocol.
Thank you very much, Agnese. Good morning to everyone. Yes, this module, we are going to address the task and the topic of quantifying food loss. For that, in this module, we are going to address 4 fundamental questions. Next, please. The first one is, well, apart from this one, the next one. The first fundamental question is why? Why we have to measure food loss? This is very important to be answered, and we have different answers based on the different profiles that you have. Next, please. So we have to respond properly. Why do we have to measure food loss? Depending if you are part of the public administration, or you are a farmer or someone or an entity within the primary production sector, or you are a researcher. So the response is completely different for that. So we are going to share this question, and we are going to try to respond based on these main profiles. Next, please. Second fundamental question. What do we have to measure? Agnese was explaining a little bit this definition of food loss based on this European project. So in this module, we are going to go deeper in this definition. Of course, giving a lot of examples to have a clear picture about what we consider that food loss have to be. Because that is something that I think that Agnese mentioned before is a key aspect and a key challenge for that this food loss definition have to be in line with the current definition of food waste. So next, please. And next, please. So that's very important. At EU level, we have a current food waste definition. So we say that food loss and food waste concept have to be like two different pieces of the same puzzle. So for that, we have to avoid overlaps between this concept, but also we have to avoid gaps. So that's the challenge, because the main objective is to quantify and to analyze the problem for the entire agri-food chain. Next, please. The third fundamental question, where do we have to measure food loss? Here we have two main responses based on different territorial scales. One, if you want to measure food loss in a plot or in a farm, this is one approach to measure food loss. But another approach, and a challenge, of course, is how we have to measure and where do we have to measure if you want to measure food loss in a region. These two approaches we are going to discuss and analyze with some of you. And the last fundamental question, of course, is how. How do we have to measure? Our idea is to, we have to quantify food loss in the field. This is fundamental for us. So it's important to share with you, to discuss the different ways to, for example, design the sample, how we have to measure based on different food commodities, different barriers, different singularities in the plot. So all these things we have to analyze and share and validate. And also, I think Joan mentioned before that we have to combine this method of measuring in the field with questionnaires and interview in order to have a broader context of the data. So this is important. And another thing that we have to take into account, next please, is to analyze the diversity, the complexity. It's very important. It's not only important to obtain a number. You have to analyze the complexity of the reality. So we are going to address this aspect as well. So in order to sum up everything, our main message for today is that measuring food loss is when you measure food loss, for example, in a plot or in a region, and you have a registry that of food loss in your territory, it's not equivalent to say that you are the guilty of the problem. Sometimes it's the opposite. You are like the victim. So it's important to put the problem on the table, to measure the magnitude, to identify the root causes, and after all together try to reduce, because we are completely sure that the reduction of food loss should be seen as an opportunity for improvement in the productive sector, but also for the entire region. So if you have some questions, I think later we have a discussion session, so we could talk later. So thank you very much, Agnese.
Thank you, Hector. Yes, indeed. Something that I didn't mention is that now we will go through a general presentation of the modules, and then in the breakout sessions, there will be opportunity to get a bit deeper into the activities and what each region or actor participating in the program can take out of this program. So we now move on to the module 3. Presented by our colleague Wouter Maes from the University of Ghent in Belgium, and he will give you an overview of the full losses quantification estimation technologies that we are testing in the FOLOU project.
Yes,
Wouter?
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Agnes. Indeed, you can go to the next slide. There's a bit of animations on the slide, so I'm not sure whether this will be easy to work. So basically, what Hector just presented are the classical methods for food loss measurements, and the problem with those, well, they're very useful. They will be needed forever, but what we do see is that they're quite time intensive, and therefore they're quite costly as well, and we can only apply them to a relatively limited amount of data. So the point of this work package and of this task here was to see whether we can build more technology and include more technology and gather data on a much larger scale than what is currently feasible. So yeah, you can go to the next slide, Agnese. What are we doing in this module is basically we're applying technologies. This can be for typical field data. We're applying technologies from tractor-based instruments, so we can scan the crop, from drones and from satellites as well. But we also have activities working at non-remote sensing or at different scales, for instance, in aquaculture, doing quality of eggs. And basically much of what we're doing is we're applying AI and deep learning models to estimate the food losses. And this can be either directly, so really measuring at the time of harvest how much food there is, how much the yield is, and how much the yield loss will be, or indirectly by looking, for instance, at satellite data and looking, okay, how does the growth of these crops go this year? And is that more or less than what we were expecting? The one thing that to keep in mind is that in this module, we are still developing concepts. So we are developing the technology. So if you express it in a TRL, like a technological readiness level, we are not planning to have every technology up to level 9, where we can actually apply this at a larger scale. And this is quite different from the module 4 that Hector just presented. So we are basically now more or less at for most of the technology in between level 4 and 6, which means that we're still developing this. So if we cannot apply this yet at large scale level because we're doing this technology. So this also has an impact on the twinning region that we can do. So I will explain that in the next slide. So a few action plans of what we will do and what we can do is, first of all, we can bridge the gap between farmers and scientists in a way that we can bring the agricultural technology that we are developing closer to the farmers and to the research centra via online sessions. So we can provide online sessions, and we will do that by presenting, first of all, the acquisition technology, which is the protocols and the guidelines. Okay, how can a farmer or research center take those data, for instance, tractor-based tools or drone-based tools or satellite tools? How can you get the data? And second, we can also showcase, and we will also showcase some of those applications we're working on that are relevant for farmers and research center. And here's just a few examples. We're working on the direct measurements of yield and yield losses in cauliflower and apple. So we can provide some showcase of how this was applied. Second, also working with satellite data. How can we use satellite data for looking at production losses? So it's not just yield losses there, but rather production losses. Or another example, blockchain method, but I will come back to that in the third action. So that's our first action. So presenting this information so people in research center and also farmers can start using the technology as such. However, the backbone of the technology will be the deep learning methods, and they are not so easy to transfer from or to generalize as such. So I think in a second action, we want to also work on that. So we can see whether we can help some selected case studies with direct field guidance, which means we will provide you with the protocols to take those measurements. For instance, here, this is for the cauliflower case we're working on. And then if you give us the data, we can see whether we can run our algorithms, whether we can improve those algorithms further, and then provide some data-driven insights to the farmers. This could be done for a few selected case studies, and we can do this particularly now with the cauliflower, but we can also do this with other technologies, such as, for instance, the apple counting we're working on. And then a third action is, well, we're also developing technology that is not just useful for farmers or research centra, but also to governments and indeed also the end users. So 2 examples for that is we're developing a blockchain methodology, in this case, in the use case of mussel aquaculture. What we're doing there is that we are developing a method that should give you all the details when you have the product in the stores, to look this up and immediately tell you, okay, this is how much losses have been you know, how the losses during the production and during all the stages were produced. And so you can have an idea and immediately insight of this methodology. This could be particularly important for governments, but also for clients as such. So this method is under development, and we'd like to, by the end of development, present this solution. Although it cannot be generalized yet, as I told you, we're still in an earlier research level, but it's quite interesting, I think, as a point of view of what can be further developed in the future. A second example here is that we're also doing, or we're a partner from projects also doing sentiment analysis from forecasting. So basically, they are looking at patterns in X and in Google, and based on that, based on the searches, they're looking whether they can forecast the food demand. And this is very useful because if we can forecast food demand, we can also adjust to that, and then this could prevent an excess of production as well. So I think this could also be something that's more focused on the governments or on clients, but particularly here on governments, to give these insights. Okay, okay, what could be possible in the future with these kind of tools. So I think this was a bit of an overview of the technology we've been working on. Again, if there's any questions, we can answer them to you later on. Thank you.
Thank you, Walter. And this overview provided by Walter for the module 3 completes the overview on the activities we are doing on the measuring effort, both from a procedure aspects and from the technology we are using. And these information, they now actually flow into what we defined the National Food Loss Registry, which is let's say, the digital platform where all this information is collected. So the module 1 on the National Food Loss Registry will be presented by our colleague Anna Sagrera from the University of Vic, and I give the floor to Anna for this.
Thank you, Agnese. Next, please. So, as an overview, the National and Regional Registry is a monitoring tool for public administrations to collect food losses data. The main purpose of this registry is to obtain data on food loss across the EU regions to understand and analyze what amount, why, and where these food losses occur. Having all this information enables to dimension the part that food losses represent along the food supply chain, and it is also important to establish evidence-based policy in order to undertake correct strategic choices and make the progress measurable. And especially, collecting and registering food loss data enables farmers to develop and further display prevention and reduction actions. So this is an overview of this registry. Next, please. How the food loss registry works. The registry system is intended to be used together with a national regional food loss waste regulation that oblige farmers to provide data. So the registry should be integrated into the existing annual agrarian declarations of each territory that contain all farm data by farm owners. The registry stores food loss data at farm level, following the food loss quantification methodology developed in FOLOU that Hector previously explained. All this farm level data is then aggregated at territorial scale, and public authorities can use this platform to monitor the performance of the regional farming system. The registry system has been designed to obtain homogeneous and comparable data among the different states' territories by using NACE and CP8 codes for identifying food types, and also NUTS codes for identifying territorial levels, in this case up to NUTS 3. Next, please. The structure of the registry is divided as follows. First of all, we have the information of the user. Second, we have the information of the farm or farms. Then we have the information of all the food products, the food loss data of these products, and then the extrapolation of the total food loss data. Next, please. Here you can see the registry software. The information of the user compiles all the general information of the organization. Once created, next, please. The farmers can see their homepage with the different farms listed for a selected year. The information of the farm consists of the location up to NUTS 3, the main economic activity, and the production data. Next, please. Each farm or farm group will have specific entries that correspond to food products identified by the NACE and CP8 codes. Also, production data is built in this section, detailing the extension, the production systems, etc. for each entry. Next, please. In the results page of the software, it is shown the food loss data of all these products through 3 different visualization methods that can be by farm and farm groups, by food types, and by stages. And finally, the registry, next please, integrates individual farm data to provide regional food loss results, as can be seen in here. In the breakout session, we are going to discuss more in detail about the registry and widely show how the software works. So if you want to know more about it, do not hesitate to join us. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. This, I think it's a good teaser to join the session on the registry that will come up very soon. But before that, we also want to give you an overview of the other 3 modules that are part of the program, which complement the activities that you have seen so far, and that provides, let's say, a way to understand both the drivers and the impact generated by these food losses quantification effort, and also how we can enhance the capacity of actors to deal with this challenge through our training center. So the first module, very quickly, that we will present is module 5 on the sustainability tool developed by the FOLOU project. And the aim of the sustainability tool is to look on one hand at what is the impact generated by the quantified food losses at territorial level, and to do that we make use of a life cycle assessment approach, looking at the impact in terms of generation of greenhouse gases emissions. But on the other, through the sustainability tool, we also want to see what would be the benefit at regional or territorial level of reducing this production of food losses. So our colleagues from these modules are working on the definition of the boundary conditions, on how to define the working of the LCA, and at the same time they look at what support could be provided to the participating organization in the program in terms of assessment of this impact. On the second modules on the food loss drivers, the aim here, as it was explained by Joan before, is that to understand why we are actually producing food losses among the different producers in the primary production, and whether what are the direct drivers, so the ones that can be identified as main drivers, but also what are the indirect drivers behind this generation. And to do that, we have three large categories of drivers that we have identified. We have the behavioral drivers, the societal drivers, and the environmental drivers. And within this module, in the project, we are currently carrying out an EU-wide assessment of these drivers through surveys, and participation in this module would entail, on one hand, validating a bit the results we are getting from our surveys, but also participate and contribute to the identification of other drivers that we might have not identified during the analysis. Then on module 6, our colleague Alice Moshlin from the University of Reading will give you an overview of what we are offering in terms of learning opportunities and training opportunities with our FOLOU Learning Center. So Alice, I pass you the floor.
Thank you very much. I'll just briefly introduce the 5 courses that the FOLOU project are currently developing. So from everything that you've heard, we're going to summarise all of this learning into a series of 5 courses that will be self-guided online courses that will be available for free. The first course is currently in development and should be available at the beginning of next year, 2025. And this first course will be an online course providing an introduction to food losses in primary production that will be available to everyone as a sort of introduction to the project and the work that we've been doing. And then courses 2 through to 5 will be focused on those key modules that we've outlined already. And they'll be focusing on food loss measurement, the technological innovations that are currently available and those that are in development, the sustainability implications, and how all of these learnings can be integrated into policy development. So these 5 courses will be focused on different key audiences to develop capacity within the food sector in order to develop key actors' professional development. So these courses will be available from the beginning of 2025 through to the courses 2 to 5 will be available later in 2026. That's just a very brief overview. Thank you.
Thank you, Alice. And of course, if there are questions related to these modules, those can be discussed in the plenary session after the breakout sessions. So we are just a couple of minutes beyond schedule, but I think we are still good with it. So we concluded the first part, which aimed to give you an overview of the activities we are proposing within the program. And what we will do now is to move to the second part of the meeting, where we open up the breakout sessions for you to pose questions and for the module managers to explain you some activity, give you some examples of the activities in further detail. what we will do now, we will launch a poll to ask you which breakout session you would like to answer to be connected to. But I'm just realizing, Berai, that we might have an issue, because if they are not able to reply to the poll, we will not be able to redistribute them. So maybe if that doesn't work, we can launch the poll, but if we don't have enough answers like before, maybe we just do the automatic splitting of the groups.
Actually, my suggestion is that I will now launch you the poll, but please do not answer the poll. Please type in the chat whichever room you want to go to. So we have 3 rooms. Please type in the chat 1, 2, or 3, and I will manually assign you to the room that you want to go. Because even for the people who have answered the poll, some of you remain anonymous, because I suppose your organization is really want to protect your identity. But if I do not see who answered what, then I cannot send you to the room you want to go. So also for our colleagues, some of you are already assigned to rooms that you will moderate or that you are related to due to your work packages. Please type in the chat, and we will see you after the coffee break in the rooms you have chosen.
Okay, thanks, Berai, for organizing this. So now let's say we give about 5-7 minutes. Well, we give you 1 minute to choose the room you want to be in, and then we allow about 5-7 minutes to Berai to allocate each of us in the rooms. So I would suggest that at 11:15 we get back to well, we stay online, but at 11:15 we start with a discussion in the breakout sessions, and then we have about 10 to 15 minutes to pose question and interact on each module, and then at 11:30 we get back into the plenary, and we ask the moderators in each room to report back on what has been discussed, and then from there we follow up with the closing of the meeting. Okay, so please go ahead with giving your preference for the breakout rooms, and in 5 minutes time we can start with it, and meanwhile you maybe can grab a coffee. Hi everyone. I'm sorry some of you were talking while we were still discussing in the breakout rooms, and some of you got cut off. Apologies for that, but the time is up, and now we have about 10 minutes for the moderators of each module to report on what has been discussed in the modules, and open up the floor to any question that was not posed during the breakout session. And after that we will show you what are the steps to join the program and what is the timeline on it. So maybe I would start from module 1 and asking Anna to say something about it, or give some extra contributions. And I'm not sure Anna is here.
Yes, Agnès, I'm here.
Okay. Sorry.
Well, in our session, some questions have arose. One of them was if the registry was mandatory, and we said that it was intended to be used in that regions that have or that will have food loss waste regulations, and that it should be integrated in the agrarian annual declarations. Also, if we already have information in the registry and we differentiate between the registry and the repository, in the registry we will obtain farm level data, and then it will be collected, its primary data, and then of the regions, and then the repository will contain all the data at EU level, but from studies and from also primary data and policies and etc. So we differentiated these two concepts. I don't know if I'm missing something, Agnese, in.
No, yeah, maybe it's good to mention that on top of what you explained, is the aim of the program is to provide support to regions that want, either that there are already active in measurement and they are facing challenges how to measure and how to report, or for regions that want to start the process. So for on our side, the sharing of the data is not the main aim. The main aim of the program is to support actors in setting up a system of quantification and monitoring and testing of technologies that can support this quantification. Yeah, I would leave it here, and then other things can be discussed later. Yeah. So then maybe we move to module 3, and I think Dries was the moderator. Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, we have like made a recap about our module. After that, we have like question concerning our technology. So we gave some insights about our technology in details, how we are doing this with drones, with crop modeling, with AI, etc. After that, we have question which types of products we are covering. I said that in our module we are covering many products from many categories. Fruits, for example, we have use case of apples in vegetables, cauliflower, etc., etc. And yeah. So this is globally the discussion was about.
Okay.
And just I want to add, add something, because I would have the time, that we can give like demos and demonstration in line for the people who wanna join us, and of course we are open to other propositions and feedbacks. Yeah.
Okay. And I believe in your group, Dries, there were representatives from some farmers associations. I saw it in the registration list. So yeah, was that the case, or who was joining the session?
Yeah, we had like I think 2 persons. One person from I think Carmen from university in Ireland. Another person I don't know. He didn't talk. Maybe he had a problem in maybe in the internet or something like this. So yeah, these are the main persons. Otherwise, we were like three moderators, me and Pedro from Cheche, and also IK from NVPM. So each one, yeah.
Okay, thanks. So representatives from the knowledge and research centers were there in the session. Okay, then we can have a look at what has been discussed in module 4 on the full losses quantification protocol. I think Hector or Roberta.
Yes. Well, in our module, we were talking about 3 things. The first one was related to the timeline, no? What kind of resources in terms of time, actions to do that they need from themselves. So another point is that the European project Zero Waste is doing similar action. So it could be great to have some synergies be aligned together in these initiatives. And finally, we were discussing about something that is very interesting for the future. We'll see about who is the responsible to quantify food loss in a territory. Has to be the public administration or the farmer or the research entity. So it was quite interesting debate. The profiles in our room was public administration and researchers.
Okay, perfect. So that's good to know because we had representatives of public administrations also in module 1, but it's good that they were also in work package 4 because it means there is a demand for these quantification methods to be deployed in the territory. And yeah, okay, so this concludes a bit the second part of the meeting, where we discuss more in detail the modules. Of course, you have access to the digital brochure that was developed by Impact, our communication partner in FOLOU, and it's available on the project website. And if you have further questions, you can approach us directly via the registration form and the contact form. So what we will do now, we have discussed the plenary. We have discussed in the plenary the aspects of the breakout rooms. We will give you an overview of the next steps in terms of registration and selection process. So today we are launching the program online. And with today, we are also, or the coming days, we are opening up the recruitment phase, which will last for 3 weeks up to November the 20th. In these 3 weeks, interested organization can express their interest to be part of the program via the registration form that we have online on the section of our website dedicated to the twinning program. And then in the last part of November and beginning of December, we will run the selection of the twinning regions. We will get in touch with the ones of you that express their interest in participating, and we will try to understand, okay, what in which activities you would like to get engaged, what are the challenges you are facing, and how the program can support you. In the registration option, choose which are the modules that are most interesting for you, and if it applies, also the crop categories you are working on or you wish to work on. By the end of the year, in December, we aim to have the letter of agreement signed with the selected regions, and from February next year, we will start with the implementation of the program with the actors in the selected regions. The implementation and the collaboration deploys in 22 months period up to September, October 2026. During this time, you will be able to participate in the National Stakeholders Workshop that we will organize as part of the project activities in the period between January and August 2026. And then the program will conclude in October 2026 with a small report on your experience and the learnings by participating in the program. About the registration, there is, as mentioned, the application form at this link that you can access on our website. And just keep in mind that we are closing down the registrations on the 20th of November. In that time, in that time, feel free to get in touch with us. Sorry, somebody has the mic on. Feel free to get in touch with us for any question you might have. One message that we want to give you is that we have a modularity option in this program, which means that you can select which modules are more interesting for you to work on. And of course, the core modules are module 1, 3, and 4. The core modules are 1, 3, and 4, and the complementary modules are 2, 5, and 6. So at least one of the top modules should be one of your first preferences to join the program. And then about the formal requirements, the program is designed to engage public authorities mainly. But as we were discussing in the breakout session on the National Food Loss Registry, that should not be an obstacle to joining the program. So if you are an organization with a different profile than a public authority, you can still register your interest in participating, and then we will assess your interest anyway, and perhaps try to support linking with public authorities in your region that could work together on the activities. As mentioned, there is a letter of agreement to be signed by the end of the year for the commitment in collaborating in the activities of the program. And then there is this very simple draft final report at the end of the program. One important thing to mention is that because we are also talking about data that feed into the different activities, any sharing of the data between the participating regions and the FOLOU partners will be compliant with the data protection policies adopted at EU level. So there is no issue about confidentiality or breakage of privacy concerns when sharing data. Another good point that was mentioned in the session is that it's not that we will manage all the data inflow. The aim is to enhance capacity of organization to manage their own data. So the idea is that the food loss registry, when adopted by a region, is managed by the region itself. It then connects potentially connects with the other registries, but is something that belongs to the authority that will manage it. Another good information to know is that through the program, we will facilitate the participation in study visits, which means the experimental sites where we are currently developing the tools and the quantification protocols. And there will be a partial contribution of travel expenses for the participating organization that will join the program. Then this is one of the last slides, and talking about why it is interesting to join the Twinning Region program of the FOLOU project. Well, first of all, is an opportunity to test and early adopt innovative technologies that relate to food losses quantification and estimation methods. We are working, as Wouter was presenting before, with remote sensing technology, sensing technologies and artificial intelligence neural networks, but also with the analysis of data within social networks. And we aim to support the adoption of coherent and standardized quantification methodologies through the quantification protocol. Joining the program is also an opportunity for knowledge sharing and networking. between the participants and the FOLOU partners, but also between among the participants themselves, but at the same time also with all those organizations with which as a project we are connected. We are working with many platforms that work on food system sustainability. We are part of the Food 2030 Project Collaboration Network, the Sustainable Food System Innovation Platform, the Biorefinery Cluster Europe, and we have collaboration with other projects, EU projects that work on research and innovation. Very important for public authorities and for actors working in the field is the fact that participation in the program gives an opportunity to anticipate policy developments for food losses quantification. So we already have the EU regulation on food waste quantification that includes the primary production sector, therefore food losses. But we also have all those processes that promote the digitalization process of the EU agriculture. And we are also in contact with the Office of the ISO standards that is developing specific quantification certification for food losses accounting for companies. Last but not least, the testing of these technologies and of the overall tools deployed by the program enhance a better performance of production systems by, on one hand, understanding what are the drivers of food losses generation and hence attempting to decrease them, and by overall contributing to the improvement of local food systems. I think this was the last slide. We have about 5 to 10 minutes, but we can also close up the meeting before. But I would like to open up the floor if there are questions related to the program itself, to its implementation, to the application process, or any question that you might have. After that, we will close the meeting. So I'll open up the floor if there are any questions that you would like to pose or comments to make. Yes, Lisa, please go ahead.
Hello, thank you very much for this very interesting presentations today. My question is, I noticed that University of Ghent is in the project as well. So to what extent, like the national registry, it would of course be very interesting for Flanders, for the Flemish government. Have contacts already been made? I don't want to do double work. If not, I'm happy to facilitate.
Okay. So I don't know, Dries, do you want to answer, or I can attempt to give a first answer, because I know Wouter unfortunately had to leave the meeting before. But what I can start with, and maybe Dries can complement, is that we are within the activities of the project, we are in contact with the group of farmers and farmers association. So that link has already been established for the testing of the technologies that are specific to the Belgian pilot. And on the other hand, we are very willing to connect with the regional public authorities in Flanders to increase the involvement of a multi-actor approach for this. So to my knowledge, the regional authorities have not been contacted yet, but I let Dries add up if he has more info on this. Dries, you're muted.
Please, can you repeat again, because it was cutting while the question was asked. It was cutting.
So Lisa was asking if we have engaged, if we have started the engagement process with regional public authorities in Flanders.
No, right now, no, we don't have any contact with the regional. Only with farmers directly. we have contacted directly the farmers. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
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 Okay, great. But then we'll follow up with the right person, Chris Roels at the Flemish government, and I can, through whom because we've been in touch with Alba. So should
Yes.
we do that? Should we do that via Alba, or how should we proceed?
Yeah, you can do through me, and I will put Agnes on the conversation if you want.
Perfect.
Yeah, and you can directly use the registration form available on the website. So we start collecting all the interest in participating to the program, and then there is also the possibility to add some comments or notes, and you can put the information there if you had previous contact, and then we will get back to you once we receive the application.
Yes, I'm not the Flemish government, but I can get in contact with them. So that's why
Okay.
I'm trying to. I'm just going to try to matchmake.
Yeah. And you represent what kind of organization?
Research institute, also
Okay.
close to Ghent, also in Ghent, ILFO, the Flemish Institute for Agriculture, Fisheries, and Food Research.
Yeah, that's very good because, of course, there is also a strong connection with the research centers, so it would be very good to have ILFO engaged as well.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thanks. I cannot see all the participants, but I saw there was another, hand raise. Ukse, sorry, the pronunciation is not correct, but please go ahead.
Yeah, it's okay. You said it very well. Yeah, maybe you said it, but I might have missed it. And just to confirm, I wanted to ask if there will be any budget available for collaborators. Thank you.
I mentioned it before. We have some budget available for participating in the activities of the project, which at the time being is relates to the participation in the experimental sites where we are testing the tools and methodologies we are working on. But depending on the development with each region that will participate in the program, we can see if other type of activities could be supported. So we don't have a 100% coverage of the cost, but we can provide a reimbursement of a specific threshold of costs that are incurred by the participant. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So maybe another thing that needs some clarification is the fact that, especially with module 3, we are using technologies that elaborate collected data. And one of the things we are trying to understand is also to what extent we can collaborate on data collection, depending on whether or not those specific tools, for example, drones or embedded camera in tractors, are available in the regions that will participate. So this is also something that we will discover while we implement the activities. But let's say we are not able to sponsor costs related to the acquisition of the material, in this case drones or other tools. So this is already clear from the beginning. Yeah. Again, I can see only some of you, so I don't know if there are other questions or if there is something in the chat. No. I saw Andrea Della Penna put some input on the chat in terms of data availability and data sharing. Okay, I think we can, if there are no further questions, we just reiterate that you are very welcome to approach us via the registration form, via the contacts that are available on our project webpage. We thank you all for being here for these 2 hours, and we look forward to be in touch with you in the coming weeks to assess your participation in the program. Thanks everyone for joining in, both on our project side and on the participants. And the presentation will be shared after in the coming days after the meeting. And we wish you all a good afternoon. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you very
Bye.
much.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.